Good morning. This month, our Soul Matters theme is resistance. Resistance is the act of or a power of opposing or withstanding, as in standing up to do what is right. Throughout our service today, and through the telling of the Passover story, we will remind ourselves how resistance is tied to freedom and how Jews and Unitarian Universalists share this call towards justice. This year, Passover is celebrated from April 5th through April 13th.
Stand now and body your spirit. We're going to do our gathering song, which is called Come Go With Me to That Land. Come go with me to that land. Come go with me to that land. Come go with me to that land where I'm bound. Come go with me to that land. Come go with me to that land. Come go with me to that land where I'm bound. There'll be healing in that land. There'll be healing in that land. There'll be healing in that land. There'll be healing in that land where I'm bound. There'll be healing in that land. There'll be healing in that land. There'll be healing in that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. You can take a seat.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Central Oregon. My name is Noreen Halberstadt, and I'll be your worship leader today. My pronouns are she, her, and I am about 5'4". I'm of slender build. I have brown hair, but that's a lie. It's very tinsely these days. And I'm wearing a red sweater with rows and rows of white sheep with black faces, except for the one black sheep with a white face, and that's me. We are an inclusive community that affirms the heart, the mind, and body in our search for truth and freedom. Here you will find both comfort and challenge for your spiritual journey. Whatever your age, income, or the color of your skin, you are welcome here. Whatever your sexual orientation, gender identity, or life story, you are welcome here. If you are full of joy today, or if your heart is hurting, you are welcome here. And if you are Jewish or Christian or agnostic or atheist or a pagan, you are welcome here. And if your beliefs differ from mine, but you are called to love, you are welcome here. The words for our chalice lighting today will be offered by Donna, and Diane will light the chalice.
Good morning. Our chalice reading this morning is The Struggle for Freedom by Paul Sprecher. We light this chalice in memory of the courage of those who have struggled for freedom, of the persistence of those who have struggled for justice, and of the love of those who have built beloved communities to carry on the light of hope.
To begin any Jewish service, celebration, or meal, a prayer is said when lighting candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav Vitzivanu, Lahad Likner, Shel Chag Pesach Sameach. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who has commanded us and sanctified us with laws and commanded us to light the Passover candles.
Please rise and bow to your spirit for spirit of life.
All the stirrings of compassion blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Please be seated. Some of you may wonder how we come up with some of the ideas for services. Reverend Scott asked me to tell this short little story about this one. Around a year ago, some of our UUFCL members, who happened to be Jewish, approached Reverend Scott. They were interested in sharing a bit about Passover and the Seder Supper with us as a congregation. This service has been a long time in the making, about a year, planting seeds, see what can happen from an idea. Here are our speakers today. We have Donald Baer, Diane Darling, Donna Dobkin, Judith Smith, and Mark Steinberg, with contributions from Stephen Foster Wexler and Jeff Belzer. And today we have a guest musician, Joe Boozer, as our guest musician today. Yes. Joanne is a multi-instrumentalist who appreciates the ways that music can inspire, unite, heal, and empower people. You can hear her play at Trinity Episcopal, Temple Beth Tikva, Grace Lutheran, and the First Presbyterian in Bend. Welcome. Now is the time for all ages. If our children, youth, and anyone else who wants to get a closer seat come up on the rug. We will have a story from our Director of Religious Exploration, Amy. She will be coming up on the screen.
Bible is one of our 6 sources of our UU faith. It goes like this. Long ago in Egypt, a mean ruler made the Jewish people work hard with little or no pay. They had to build whole cities and pyramids. And then the ruler, called a pharaoh, ordered all the baby boys to be taken away. But But one baby Moses' family, put him in a basket and floated him down the river. They hoped that someone would find him and keep him safe. And someone did. Pharaoh's daughter found him and took him to the palace. She took good care of him. And while he was growing up, the Jewish people continued working for the Pharaoh. They didn't like it. They were hungry and tired. They asked their God for help. Moses grew up with a happy life, and he had a strong sense of justice. One day he saw someone from the palace telling the Jewish people to work even harder, and this made him feel really sad. So he told that person to leave them alone. But then Moses had to leave Egypt so that he wouldn't get in trouble. After Moses left Egypt, he got a job herding sheep. And one day he saw a strange bush while he was out with the sheep. It looked like it was on fire, but it wasn't burning. And as it got closer, it started talking. It told him that he should go to the Pharaoh and tell him to let all of the Jewish people. And so Moses went and got his brother Aaron, and they went and told the Pharaoh just that. And the Pharaoh said, "Never." And this made them feel frustrated, and it made their God feel frustrated too. It made the Jewish God so frustrated, it started causing things like plagues to happen. He hoped that this would make the Pharaoh change his mind and let the Jewish people go. The plagues were things like water that people couldn't drink, lots of bugs, lots of frogs, scary wild animals, lots of things that would make anyone change their mind or definitely consider it. And the Pharaoh did consider it each time one of these plagues happened, but he didn't change his mind until one day. And on that day, he said, "Okay, you can go." And so the people grabbed all their things and they ran as fast as they could, and they ran and they ran and they ran until they got to a sea. And then they didn't know what to do because they couldn't get across the sea. And so they prayed to their God, and when that happened, the sea opened, and it made just a big enough path that they could get across, which was good because then they noticed that the Pharaoh and his army had changed their mind, and they were running after them, trying to get them to come back to Egypt. And thankfully, once the people had gone through the path across the sea, it closed up, and Pharaoh and his army weren't able to get to them. They were so excited that they had finally escaped Egypt and all of that work, and they were able to build a life for themselves. And they just celebrated and had a wonderful time together, thanking each other and their God for all of their work and all of their time and all of their faith and hope that they put in to waiting for this moment to be able to celebrate their journey. And so ends our time together. I'm so excited to explore resistance more this month and in RE today with you all.
If you could join in the Children's Covenant, and then we'll sing our children out with "We Give Thanks." In this place, I am kind. In this place, I am loving. In this place, I am a friend to the earth and all animals and people. In this place, I am loved.
Precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Good morning from Chela. I'm the Congregational Life Facilitator, and I have today's announcements. But before I do that, I have the pleasure of introducing John Horwich, who's been chairing our Fireflies program, and he wants to invite us all on a date, a very special date. So, John.
Sounds ominous. Thanks, Shayla. Hope I can live up to that. Good morning, everyone. So what I'd like to do is take a couple minutes just to talk about our Fireflies program. Many of you know about it, maybe some of you don't, so we'll introduce you to it briefly, and most importantly, invite you on that date, which is to the Fireflies Flash, which will be on Saturday night, April 22nd. So we're returning to our traditional evening event. Last year we did it as a luncheon to sort of accommodate COVID and keep things a little lighter, but this year we're returning, and I think you'll have a great time. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute, but to talk about Firefly's mission first, which is captured by our catchphrase of lighting sparks in young learners. So all of our Fireflies programs are directed toward improving the literacy and learning skills of elementary school students who are performing below grade level. And the vast majority of those students also come from economically disadvantaged families, many of whom don't have books and don't frequent the library. So our programs focus in particular on the summer slide, keeping students engaged in reading and other educational endeavors throughout their time away from school. So Fireflies manages 3 programs. We'll have slides talking a little bit about each of those. So first is Sparky, which is our book trailer that distributes free books during the summer at school district food distribution sites. And beginning this summer, we're really proud and pleased to announce that we're going to collaborate with the Neighbor Impact Mobile Food Pantry. So in Sparky's first 2 summers, we distributed books to more than 500 students. Second part of our program is our Little Library program. And so we have 4 little libraries built by UUFCO volunteers that have been installed on school campuses in Bend and Redmond. These little libraries are unique. They contain only children's books, and they're resupplied and managed by members of our Fireflies team. And next is our traditional program that's been around since 2017, our book bag program. So in June of each year, usually during the last week of school, we distribute a book bag with at least 5 brand new books and other educational material to qualifying students in grades K through 5 at our 5 partner elementary schools in Bend, Redmond, and Lapine. So this June, to give you a sense of where we are, is our 7th year, my how time flies, for our summer book bag program. And we've grown from 1 school and 180 students in 2017 to 5 schools, and we'll serve 670 students in 2023. As of this June, we will have distributed, So as of this June, we will have distributed book bags to 3,263 students, containing more than 16,000 new books. So thank you for your support over the years. It's been gratifying, and it's allowed us to have this kind of growth and serve more deserving students. So finally, why I'm talking to you today, as Shayla mentioned, the date. So I'm inviting you to join us in celebrating our Fireflies program with our donors and our school partners. This is our chance to pull together those of you who support us, the teachers who are partner with us and their principals and administrators, and other outside donors who help provide the financial support that makes this program possible. So on the evening of Saturday, April 22nd, we will have the flashback as an evening catered dinner event, this year featuring the Juniper Elementary School Choir. If you were with us in 2019, we had the choir, and they brought the house down. So again, not something to be missed. This is not your ordinary elementary school choir, at least not the one I remember. So you will receive an emailed invitation, probably tomorrow, all things going as we plan, and you need to respond online. We're not taking reservations in person, and you can't come to the event without a reservation because it's a catered event. We need to tell them how many people we're going to serve. So you do need to sign up and buy your tickets online. So please do join us. Again, any questions I think will be answered in the invitation. All the details about the price and our menu choices, et cetera, will be there. We have something for everyone. We do still need a few more volunteers, I think, for setup. We will have a table out in the gathering hall if you have any questions about Fireflies, about the event, or if you want to sign up to help us, particularly with the setup Saturday morning on the 22nd. We have a sign-up sheet there as well. So I hope to see all of you there on the 22nd. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Yesterday at the half-day women's retreat, May I Walk in Beauty, we talked about beauty and all of the ways that that beauty is not only subjective for each of us, but that there are associations. And so when I hear about the Fireflies program, it makes me think of the first time I saw fireflies. I was in my 30s, and I was just, it's so beautiful. So anyway, I have this lovely association with fireflies, and I will be at the Flash. So I hope you will be too. So yes, special welcome to all who are here today, both here in person and those who are joining us on Zoom. If this is your first or second time, particularly on Zoom, we have a visitors virtual form to just let us know that you are here. You could sign up for our communications. Our ACE is the way that we get word out to everyone in the congregation. So there are ways to sign up for the ACE at the visitors table at Connections Corner, and then also you can talk to me if you need to do it that way. So first things first, we need one volunteer to help with kitchen cleanup today. Who would like to raise their hand? We have one. Oh, thank you, Joe Meyer. What a good guy. Thank you so much. Now, a little over a week ago was the new moon in the 9th month in the Islamic calendar. The 9th month is called Ramadan. And so today, since Ramadan will go until the next new moon, we just also want to recognize that for those in our community and those in our world who are giving themselves to devotion, fasting, and reflection, we just wish them a Ramadan Mubarak. So may they have a blessed Ramadan. Young Sounds will meet today, first Sunday of the month, and Amy's going to be doing Young Sounds, and she'll see the kids in the RE area. So no longer meeting in the sanctuary, but in RE. Just since it's a newer thing, I just want to highlight that family yoga will be happening this Wednesday, so that includes parents or caregivers and the young ones. Also, the following Saturday is our XYZ meeting, so those who are Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, that'll be, there's information in the Skyline, just wanted to highlight that for you. Sign-ups for Easter brunch. Next Sunday, we'll have our traditional light brunch of fruit, deviled eggs, and muffins, so you can sign up to bring the deviled eggs and muffins, and also there are sign-ups for helping as well. Then just wanting to highlight a couple things for that following weekend. Firstly, the art show that's going to be switching out today. They'll have a spring art show. Aren't we all yearning for spring? And that's going to be called Primavera, a collection of spring. And the artist's reception will be on Friday the 14th at 6 p.m. Refreshments will be served. Then the following day, there will be a workshop called Interrupting Racism and Hate. There's folks from DEIG, our Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Group, will be in the gathering hall to take reservations for that or signups. Okay, lastly, Reverend Scott forgot to raise this before he started his sabbatical, which he started yesterday, but he's looking for folks who might be interested in adopting his little dog Hobbs for a week or two throughout the time when he is out of the country. That is to say, when Reverend Scott is out of the country. Hobbs is, I mean, you know, it'd be nice to have an expense paid dog sitting gig, but all the same. So Hobbs is a little small white Ewok kind of dog, and very low maintenance. He could take a walk or not take a walk. I've got a list of all the do's and don'ts for Hobbs, and if you're interested in helping out, I'll have a schedule going. But again, that's from the end of June through August. So please see me about that. So our day is going to be more fully completed with Max Merrill when he comes to talk to us about the greater community collection that will be taken today. But for me, blessings on your day.
Good morning. Social justice. 2 words often heard around UUFCO these days. Social justice. 2 words at the core of our covenant and our 7 principles. Thanks to all of you who supported our pledge campaign this year. Thanks to our Board of Trustees who allocate funds for our programs. Thanks to our staff and to our minister who support us in our work. And thanks to our team of leaders and volunteers who make the social justice programs a success. As Reverend Scott noted in last week's service, we currently have 8 active social justice programs here at UUFCO, ranging from book bags for struggling summer readers, which you have heard about today, to environmental initiatives, including our solar roof panels, from dinners at Bethlehem Inn to supplying produce for those experiencing hunger, from safe parking in our parking lot to help shelter the homeless, to preparing and serving meals in the family kitchen, from supplying water to our Warm Springs residents to the north, and to tutoring students in math and reading in our elementary schools. And finally, selecting recipients for our greater community collection. For those of you who may be new to UUFCO and are looking for a way to connect, for those of you who have been here for many years but are looking for ways to help those in our communities, volunteering in social justice can help open doors to personal relationships and meaningful service. The work is waiting. The need for you is great. So volunteer and ensure that social justice continues to play a vital role in our congregation. Again, thank you all for your commitment in time and resources to these programs and for making the words and principles we strive to live by become a flourishing reality for those in need. Thank you.
We will now receive today's offering to support the programs and ministries of this congregation. Through these gifts, we strengthen the bonds of our community and nourish the possibilities of the future.
Good morning. My name is Greg Byrne. We now enter a time of sharing our joys and sorrows in community. And while Scott's gone for his sabbatical, members of your pastoral care team will cycle through to handle the duties of reading joys and sorrows and responding to them. First is from Heather McNeil. A joy. The flowers today are for my daughter, Jamie Rose. Her 25th birthday is tomorrow. She's a Peace Corps volunteer in Guatemala for 2 years and was recently selected for their Project Advisory Council. I'm very proud of her for so many reasons. I know she's watching, so give her a wave. From Nancy Stevens. Nancy has just returned from Oslo, Norway, competing in international adaptive sports. Last week, she won a gold medal in the biathlon with her partner, Kent. With her partner, Kent, and using an infrared rifle, and a gold medal in 5K, 27 minutes and 9 seconds with what she called an old race time for her from 30 years ago. But wait, there's more. And this week, she won one more gold medal. She finished the 20K in 2 hours and 2 minutes. With the gold medal, she said she's pretty happy with the time. From Ben Morgan, who's also a member of your pastoral care team. After a wonderful cross-country ski day last Saturday, I returned home to what I thought was a bad cold. Diagnosed as a second COVID return. An overnight hospital stay with good treatment got me home soon. So much thanks to Redmond's UUs and friends for help with a wave of electronic messages and calls offering support and reassurance. I'm doing fine at home with masked friends delivering meals and Luna the cat keeping an eye and paw on me. Staying home this Sunday. Thanks again for all the help from a loving community. Hello, Ben. From Megan Hooker. One of the children killed in this week's school shooting in Tennessee was my cousin's daughter. Every school shooting is devastating and heartbreaking, and my extended family is reeling. Please hold us in your hearts with extra love to Chad and Jada Scruggs and their boys. And may our work to stop these horrific acts of violence bear fruit soon. From Annis Henson, ongoing concern for Alan and Sons, whose wife and mother, Michelle, died January 28th. Remembering grief works slowly and individually. May their constant support circle remain constant. Our son Aaron is among many with lasting COVID challenges. The next attempt to cardiovert Aaron from AFib is Friday, March 31st. May it go well. And from the Passover Service Planning Group, we feel sorrow that people across the world still experience oppression. We feel joy that we are part of a fellowship that resists oppression in all forms, and joy to share our traditions with you today. And from me, a joy that my sister-in-law came through her kidney surgery in flying colors. Of course, you may rise and light a candle on the side of the sanctuary for any joy or sorrow that's unexpressed.
Now is time for our meditation or prayer or contemplation. If you make yourself comfortable and relax and take in these words, and then I'll ring the bell and we'll have some silence, and then I'll ring the bell to bring us out. Our lives ask us to die and to be reborn every time we confront change. Change within ourselves and change in the world. When we descend all the way down to the bottom of a loss and dwell patiently with an open heart in the darkness and pain, we can bring back up with us the sweetness of life and the exhilaration of inner growth. When there is nothing left to lose, we find the true self, the self that is whole, the self that is enough, the self that no longer looks to others for definition or completion or anything but companionship on the journey. From Elizabeth Lessner.
Thank you to both of our musicians. You're just wonderful. We have lit the Passover candles and have said the prayer for Passover. Every year, Jewish families around the world say the same prayer and gather around the table to remember and retell the story of Passover. But perhaps you don't know why this Jewish holiday is called Passover. As the story goes, Egypt's Pharaoh ordered the firstborn son of all Jewish families to be killed. To protect their children, the Jews placed lamb's blood over their front door so that the angel of death would pass over their homes, thus Passover. And why do we call the Passover meal a Seder? Seder is the Hebrew word for order and refers to the meal and rituals which follow a certain order at the dinner table.
The book Jewish people read from at the Seder is called the Haggadah. That's a picture of it on the screen. The Haggadah tells the story of Pharaoh's enslavement of the Jewish people and their journey from resistance to freedom. Some families still enjoy reading from long and very traditional Haggadahs, thus making the Seder service and meal last hours into the evening and night. Some families enjoy a much shorter version, often adapted to include humor and broader humanistic values. And because it is shorter, it allows people to eat much sooner.
Each Haggadah, whether traditional or not, contains a section called the 4 questions, typically asked by the youngest child at the table. It starts with, how is this night different from all other nights? The 4 questions then help to explain the meaning of their gathering at the Passover table and of the Seder plate, a special plate owned by Jewish families and used only once a year at Passover. Now we're going to watch a fun video by a famous Israeli group called the Maccabees that sing about the 4 questions.
מה נשתנה הלילה הזה מכל הלילות, מכל הלילות, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים חמץ ומצה. הלילה זה כולו מצה. הלילה זה כולו מצה. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים שאר ירקות, שאר ירקות. הלילה זה מרור, מרור. הלילה זה מרור, מרור. שבכל הלילות אין אנו מפילים אפילו פעם אחת, אפילו פעם אחת. הלילה זה שתפת עמים. הלילה זה שתפת עמים. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים בין יושבינו בין מסובים, בין יושבינו בין מסובים. הלילה זה כולנו מסובים. הלילה זה כולנו מסובים.
Don't worry about that. We're going to explain a little bit about what they were talking about coming up here. But we're going to show a Seder plate, I believe, is coming up here. If you'll look at the screen here, everything on the Seder plate has a lot of symbolism attributed to it. Some of these items that are on the plate we're going to be getting into in the rest of the service, but there's a few that we won't be getting into. And if you're interested, some of us are going to be out in the gathering hall after the service, and you can come up to us and ask us, and we can give you some better explanation at that point. But now we're going to ask the congregation who's willing to join us as the questions, the 4 questions that we're talking about, are going to be presented up on the screen. We're going to ask you folks to read them, and Judith and I will take turns for the explanations or the answers to the 4 questions. So if you would, on all their nights we bake goods with leavening or matzah. Why on this night only matzah?
On this night, we eat unleavened bread, known as matzah. Legend has it that when Moses and the Israelites prepared to flee Egypt, they left in such a quick hurry that the bread they were baking did not have time to rise. Thus, matzah is the symbol of the Jewish people's affliction as well as their newly found freedom.
All other nights we eat all vegetables. Why on this night do we eat maror? On this night we eat maror, which is a bitter or herb, and shown on the Seder plate as horseradish. Jewish tradition says that this root is to remind us of the time of our slavery. We force ourselves to taste pain so that we may more readily value pleasure. The sharpness of the taste awakened the senses and made the people feel at one with nature's revival. Thus, maror is the stimulus of life, reminding us that struggle is better than the complacent acceptance of injustice. All the nights we do not dip even once. Why on this night do we dip twice?
Dipping food is considered a luxury, a sign of freedom, as opposed to the poor and enslaved who ate dry and undipped foods. On this night, we dip our parsley in salt water 2 times. The first time, the salty taste reminds us of the tears we cried when we were slaves. The second time, the salt water and the green of the parsley help us remember the ocean and green plants and the earth from which we get our air, water, and food that enable us to live.
On all other nights we eat sitting upright. Why on this night do we recline? On this night we eat leaning or reclining. The question really goes back to ancient times in Rome, when it was the custom for rich people to eat while lying on a couch, leaning on one elbow as slaves and servants fed them. The Jewish people thought of this relaxed type of eating as a sign of freedom and prosperity, so they would lean to one side, eating at the Seder on Passover. Today, we who are free may place a cushion on our chair to symbolize our freedom, while we typically eat sitting up even at Passover.
After the service, we hope that you will enjoy our display of Seder plates and Haggadahs in the Grand Hall. Each one holds special meaning and memories for our teams, from our team's lives. It was 3,500 years ago that the Jewish people became the first culture in the world to build its foundational myth around the notion of freedom. Although the notion of individual and personal freedom remains an important concept in Judaism, Judaism also believes, since the time of Exodus, their flight from oppression, that freedom is a collective endeavor. The concept that I cannot be free if my neighbor is not is a strong Jewish value. This is reflected in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., who paraphrased the prophets when he wrote that we are caught in an inescapable web of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects us all indirectly. Judaism understood that true freedom is not the absence of bondage, but rather the presence of justice and purpose. And although that value is foundational to Judaism, it remains aspirational as Israel continues to struggle for peace with some of its neighbors.
At any Passover, it is always important for Jewish people to acknowledge the plight of all those still in bondage in one form or another, and to acknowledge at the same time our collective responsibility for the freedom of others. The bonds of slavery today may be seen in the suffering of our fellow human beings living under the oppression of poverty, hunger, racial injustice, economic injustice, war, tyranny, greed, pollution, and numerous other forms of enslavement. The Passover Seder explicitly reminds us of our need to continue to resist these oppressive forces and to act on behalf of the freedom of all people.
So, how does this relate to us as Unitarian Universalists? First of all, Scott asked me to add this part. Our roots run deep. Judaism begat Christianity, and Christianity begat Unitarian Universalism. As UUs, we continue to share some of the deepest held values of Judaism. Please join us, and looking at this slide, in reading together what we as Unitarian Universalists value. We value the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, the goal of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, and respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. These are not just words. These principles are the pillars upon which we lean and with which we resist oppression. At UUFCO, our collective efforts are evidenced, as Max indicated earlier, by having 10 different social justice groups that support the personal freedom of members of our Greater Bend community. We have a diversity, equity, and inclusion group that seeks to grow by learning about other cultures and honoring them. We also have a widening the Circle of Concerns study group, which is examining how UUFCO can be a most inclusive, welcoming, and beloved community.
The Passover Seder is a family event. Children learn about the history of the Jews and their flight to freedom, and the responsibility that they must carry to work for the freedom of all people. Unitarian Universalist religious education does this as well by helping the children of our congregations to recognize the issues of social and economic injustices, to begin to take action on behalf of ensuring freedom for others, and to understand the interconnectedness of us all.
I want to mention that the kids in RE are enjoying a box of matzah. So they'll get to taste that, feel it. It's high in texture if you've never tried it before. And I recommend that you do. Peanut butter and jelly on it is great. Tuna, salt and butter, whatever your pleasure. Okay. Let us use Passover as an opportunity to celebrate our own religious freedom and the privileges we enjoy, and to live into our principles as reminders that it's upon each of us individually, as well as upon us collectively, to resist oppression in all its forms.
And if you could all stand and body your spirit, we're going to sing our closing song, and it's really, really fun. but don't clap until the next slide, and there's going to be 2 X's, and that's where you clap twice. So let's practice. Everyone clap twice. Okay, oh, that's perfect. All right. That's absolutely perfect. Wow, you guys are amazing. It goes, this is from the book of Isaiah, chapter 55, verse 12, for all of you who want to know that. All right, here we go. You shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills shall break forth before you. There'll be shouts of joy, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands. Here we go. And all the trees of the field will clap their hands. The trees of the field will clap their hands. The trees of the field will clap their hands as we go out with joy. Little faster. You shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills shall break forth before you. There'll be shouts of joy, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands. And all the trees of the field will clap their hands. The trees of the field will clap their hands. The trees of the field will clap their hands as we go out with, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands. The trees of the field will clap their hands. The trees of the field will clap their hands as we go out with joy. Little faster. And all the trees of the field will clap their hands. The trees of the field will clap their hands. The trees of the field will clap their hands as we go out with joy. As we go out with joy.
Please remain standing and join me in the unison reading of the covenant as we extinguish the chalice. Love is the spirit.
Our benediction this morning comes from Deborah Hafner. Oh, you may be seated if you want. As we enter another week of uncertainty in the world, let us remember that there is only one side, that of humanity and planet Earth. May we pray for peace. May we raise our voices with our elected officials and engage in acts of resistance. And may we remember to take very good care of ourselves, each other, and those we love. May we remember these words adapted from the Unity Prayer. The light of love surrounds us. Love unfolds us. The power of love protects us. Love watches over us. Wherever we are, love is. After the service, please join us at the table in the far table in the gathering hall, where you will find our beautiful display of Haggadahs and Seder plates with Seder food on them. Happy Passover. Go all in peace.
Shalom.
Shalom.